open intelligence that's hearing my voice, that's feeling your bum sitting on the chair, that is feeling the pain in your hands. It's open intelligence that experiences. It's open intelligence that thinks. It's open intelligence that sees and feels and smells. And so to become familiar with what is absolutely primary in our own experience, and has always been primary in our own experience, that was required for any of our experience to be known, and to become familiar with that in our everyday life is what this training is all about. And for me, when I was introduced to it, it was quite amazing, because I recognised that there was something about me that was constant. There was something about me that made me me. And yet I could never really pin that down. I could never pin it down in any particular idea or experience, because they were always changing. And so what is it that makes me me? What is it that is constant throughout my experience? And through this introduction to open intelligence and having this recognition of what is at the basis of my experience right now, what is it that is the foundation and the essence of everything that I'm thinking, feeling and sensing in this moment. And then through this practice of short moments of repeating that recognition. So just stopping the description, recognizing that there is this intelligence, this alertness, this cognizance, this awareness that's naturally present, and that it doesn't depend on what I'm experiencing or where I am or who I'm with, that it is always the case, it's always there, it's always at the basis of my experience. And the first step is to take this practice of short moments and to test it for yourself, and to become absolutely certain that this is the case. And what that gave me was a real sense of stability. It gave me a different perspective on all of my experience, because I saw for myself what was constant throughout it. And when I identified this, rather than being completely focused on all of the descriptions and looking for some kind of meaning or well-being or understanding in all of the ever-changing descriptions, I could just rest naturally as this intelligence that was looking, as this intelligence that was experiencing. And then repeat that just for these short moments. And as I did that, I discovered that there was this sense of ease. There was this capacity to just be increasingly comfortable with myself and my experience. And as I became increasingly comfortable with my own experience, that ease and that openness began to very naturally, without even thinking about it, spread out into my other interactions with other people. And that I could bring this openness and this ease into all of my interactions, into all of my experience. And so that's what the training is all about. You heard the four mainstays, and the four mainstays is the support network that really allows us and empowers us and supports us to see that we can bring this openness, this sense of ease, this sense of just connection with everybody into all aspects of our life. And terms that you might hear would be data, and data just refers to anything that we can experience. And it just keeps it so simple. You know, rather than having a million different descriptive frameworks to understand my experience, you know, all kinds of ideas and concepts I'd read and learned and heard about, and instead I can just say that there is open intelligence shining forth data. There is this shining open intelligence, and it's streaming data. And that is bringing my experience down to its most fundamental level, rather than having all of this complicated ideas about what's going on and what does this feeling mean and what does that thought mean and how does that relate to the person that I'm speaking to now. I simply rest naturally and allow this flow of data just to continue streaming. So it's so simple and yet so profound, because what opens up there in this place of just complete relaxed openness is accessing this intelligence of the entire universe. And for me, what I see that means is that I have the capacity to know what to do and what to say in every circumstance that will be of most benefit to all. And that is all-inclusive and all-encompassing, in that there is no experience that is somehow different or not part of that completely beneficial reality. The training is really becoming familiar with that and seeing, how do I access it? Because what I've seen is that the habit that I learned in my conventional life was one of reification. And reification is a term that really means trying to give and behaving as if my thoughts, my emotions, and my experiences have an independent nature. So, for example, when something like fear comes up, it might be a thought of fear, or it might be a physical sensation. When I indulge that thought of fear, so I begin to think about it and I begin to connect it with something that happened in the past, or how it's going to affect my future, or all of these descriptions about what it might mean. That's one way that we can reify something, with indulging it. The other way would be avoiding. So as soon as any thoughts of fear come up, I have all of the strategies to just numb that down or prevent myself feeling it. And then the third way that's commonly used is to replace it. So as soon as I start to feel fear, I might have a intellectual technique of, you're a brave, strong person, and even applying that to the idea of open intelligence, where it could be, I know this is just a data stream within open intelligence, and it's nothing to worry about, it's just data. But that's actually also another kind of subtle replacement. And in this training, through the practice of short moments, it's really just allowing ourselves to face everything as it is, like to really face everything as it is. And my experience of that has been terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Really, it's just seeing that how much I had given data an independent nature and behaved as if they did have an independent nature, and how much that had controlled and influenced the way that I acted and behaved, the decisions I made, the kind of person that I tried to be. And you could say, in a way, that the training is a way of really just seeing everything for what it is, which is nothing other than shining open intelligence. But what I've learned about what things are and what they mean and how I need to deal with them, that process of really seeing all of that for what it is, and seeing that I can relax and allow all of those descriptions too to be as they are. This is the training process, and this is why the support is so necessary and so emphasized. Because some thoughts and some feelings and some experiences, they seem so compelling, like so real, so true, that it's very, very difficult, certainly for me it has been at times, to just allow them to be as they are. So the practice and the instruction remains the same, but the habit of reification, the habit of indulging, avoiding or replacing, rather than taking a short moment of allowing them to be as they are, for me has been one that's been very, very strong, particularly with certain thoughts and emotions. And so to have this support network where I know where I can go for support when things seem overwhelming, when the data just seems so intense that I don't know what to do. I can't cope. I can't deal with it. I can't allow it to be as it is, even for the shortest of short moments. And I find nothing other than this rock solid, completely consistent support that will guide me back to recognizing open intelligence as the basis of that too, as the basis of my fear. So until I get to face the fear fully, whilst relying on open intelligence, it will always come back, and it will always be something that is threatening. And it will come up in different ways and different forms. It might be a fear about something going wrong with your body. It might be a fear about dying, or somebody close to you dying, or it can come up around anything. And then so the opportunity with this training is to really get to face the fear directly whilst relying on open intelligence. And in doing that, real freedom is discovered and the capacity to access this knowledge of the universe, because we recognize the fear for what it is, this direct encounter, seeing the fear as open intelligence, this dynamic energy, this expression of open intelligence and nothing else, without any stories around it, this direct perception. There is a freedom in this immediate perception when we recognize the fear for what it is, even for a short moment. We don't have to become this fearless person or all of these ideas. It's very, very simple. Just in this present moment perception, you can stop describing everything and you can recognize whatever you're experiencing as shining open intelligence, just for an instant. And then you repeat that for another short moment, whenever you naturally remember. And this is the way that you gain confidence. And what I began to see was that when I tested this really simple instruction, but put it into use, wasn't thinking about it, but was actually practicing it, that I just saw things more clearly. So I had a clearer perspective on the things that I seemed to be afraid of. I had a clearer perspective on how I wanted to react or relate to situations that I was afraid of. And the most profound choice that I have ever made is to rely on open intelligence in those situations. So just to relax completely and to enjoy this complete perceptual openness whilst feeling the fear. And in that, we access this knowledge, this power to see what will be of most benefit, with all options open. So this is the vastness of our intelligence. This is our true capacity as a human being, to see everything as it really is. In all of its beauty, in all of its horror, in all of its mundaneness, and all of its exalted wonder, all of it exactly as it is. Like we can all encompass that. That's the vastness of our mind. And from that vantage, we just see clearly, how do I want to show up in this situation? And I'm continually humbled to see firstly, the profound results of this practice and of this training and of the support, and then also humbled to see the way that I continue to learn from my own experience and from my own reactions to things, from my own thoughts, emotions and sensations. My own experience is my training ground. And that's an amazing way to live, like completely amazing. And I just see that more and more, I'm unafraid to be me. I'm unafraid to experience and to think everything that I experience and think and feel. And just more and more comfortable with everything as it is. But it's not been a smooth, linear progression. You know, it's often from the times of deepest challenge and of most intense collapsing into data that I learn the most. And coming through those times and the instruction of just showing up, it's just brilliant. And you come and you think maybe you're in a good mood and the sun's shining and you hear, just show up. Oh yeah, okay, I can do that. Sounds fair enough. But it's like when you think the world is falling apart and everybody hates you and you hate yourself and you doubt the training and you don't know what open intelligence is anymore, and it's just this disaster, this horrific like disaster movie of your life, and that's when you need to show up. That's when that instruction of just continue to show up is so powerful. Because if I hadn't continued to show up in those times, I would still be living in a disaster movie, which was my life in a way before. Even though it was, had good times and fun things, the whole thing was just pervaded by a sense of there being something wrong, something fundamentally wrong with my experience. Even when it was positive, there was just a niggling sense of there's just something not quite right. And that was simply because I didn't understand what the hell was going on. I was completely focused in on the data, not recognizing what the data were, having the context of the data as open intelligence, and then having the direct recognition and experience of that for myself, and then having the support to train that up in all of my experience. So for me, it sometimes takes incredible courage to keep showing up, particularly with the intensity of data that can be felt. But I also see that, and it's quite funny, I've said this to other people many times, but the intensity of data that you sometimes feel is actually a good thing. Because what you're doing is showing yourself that you are allowing everything to be as it is. You know, for years I had just endless strategies for how I dealt with everything. Like endless different techniques and strategies and reactions and, you know, social awkwardness and anxiety and fear and, you know, how do you deal with them, and I'll do this with this and I'll do that with that. And now we're allowing everything to be as it is. Like no strategies, no stories, just this raw experiencing. And then to sometimes feel this intensity myself, it's like, it doesn't feel like this is a good thing. It doesn't feel like, you know, I'm allowing everything to be as it is. It just feels really intense. And then I keep showing up. And at some point, that intensity just pops into complete openness. And the vantage from that perspective is just one of complete purity, of complete seeing, of increased ease, because you have recognized some data stream that you'd given this independent nature to, or tried to, as open intelligence. And this is the continual empowerment, the continual opening.